Well, thank you, Dan, for taking the time to chat with me. It has been ages since we last chatted, and a lot of things have changed, including you taking the leadership of People magazine for the last 20 plus months. So let's start with an easy question. Uh, since you've been there for 20 months, and since the year that is going away is 2020, with all these 20s, how can you like summarize the year that was and the challenges of publishing a magazine like People in 2020?
I mean, it's definitely been challenging, but people have talked about pivots this year, but People has been pivoting since its existence in 1974. We're a news brand, so we react to the news. So in many ways, we thrive on that. It was intimidating to begin with, putting out a print edition from home, but now it's what we do. It's second nature. We didn't have any choice whether to do it or not, and the human condition thrives in circumstances like that. But it's been satisfying in many ways because there's been so many creative solutions that we've come up with and that we've learned from. And doing our first celebrity shoot for the cover, I think we're the first brand to be doing that with Jimmy Fallon, and the results were just so joyful, and learning from that, and now doing many shoots all the time at the moment in many different ways, and really things that we've learned has actually been quite satisfying. But I think the content for People this year has been stronger than ever. People has always celebrated ordinary people doing extraordinary things and extraordinary people doing ordinary things. And that mission has put us uniquely situated to respond to a year like this. Celebrities, if you think about it, have been stuck at home and doing ordinary things more than ever. Then ordinary folks have been going through the most extraordinary circumstances of their lives. So the stories we've been telling have been really, really rich, with so many heroes have stepped forward, with, of course, doctors and nurses and frontline workers. So I think the brand has really thrived because we're a perfect mix of comfort and escapism, inspiration, and essential information as well. So it's been a difficult year, but it has also been a creatively fulfilling year.
You know, it's amazing. As you mentioned, you reflected on the history of People. When People was launched in 1974, media critics were saying like Henry Luce was flipping in his grave. I mean, he is the empire of Time magazine. And then, of course, later, People magazine saved Time Inc. And if it was not for People, there would not have been a Time Inc. And then later Meredith buying Time Inc. So that magazine, that mixture of celebrity, human interest, ordinary people, is sort of unique in that genre of weekly magazines that deal with celebrities. What do you think is the biggest unique selling point of People that differentiates it from all what's out there?
I think it really has to do with the fact that People brings people together. And that is what we have done this year, as always. I think People has the power to bring people together. We're a demography breaker. People touches so many different American lives and speaks to so many women from all walks of life across society. And it's a unique place where women can come together to celebrate everyday people doing extraordinary things, and as we say, extraordinary people doing ordinary things, and see that they are relatable as well. I mean, everybody engages in People. Our content, we have 100 million different people in our audience connecting with our audience, and that we're such a positive brand. And then I think that's what puts us in America's hearts. It's something I've thought about a lot this year, about how People can be a force for good. People has always been an organically very positive brand that does good for the world. I believe that in a difficult year and in a crisis, it shows the soul of your brand. So I'm really trying to lean in to being a force for good and trying to think in every decision I make, like, is there something good that we can do here? And the trust that People has with its subjects is translated to the trust that the reader has with us. We have such an authority. If you've read it in People, you know it's true. That's what everybody says, and there's a reason for that. We take our journalism very, very, very seriously, and the authority of People really is the reason why that we have remained so relevant for all of these years.
And with all that was taking place in 2020, did you ever stop to think like, you know, I know my social responsibility, I know I have to do this and this and keep my positive aspect of the magazine, yet do I have to worry about the money-making part? I mean, was there ever a conflict between the social responsibility, between being a positive image, between diversity, inclusion, everything that's taking place in our country, and the money-making part?
I mean, there are tensions at times about whether you are doing something to sell for the cover or whether you're doing something for the right reasons. But I have very supportive bosses who understand that tension. And so you do different stories for different reasons at different times. And I don't think it's always an element of like, it has to sell a lot. We're on so many different platforms. I oversee the editorial direction for the brand, and we have different leads and amazing leads on all those platforms. If an idea is not right for the cover of the newsstand edition, we can think about doing a digital campaign, doing something on our TV show, and really exploring it on different platforms and in different ways. So there's always a creative solution.
And part of that creative solution, I just noticed that you had 4 different choices for the I don't know,
People of the Year.
For People of the Year, whether it is like something that you've started last year and this is the second year. Was it easy to pick those 4, or how can you go through the process? I mean, how did you decide we're going to go with 4 and from the obvious to the non-obvious? I mean, were they like ranked in any which way, or?
I mean, it has been a difficult year, which has made it very interesting to choose who would be a person of the year. But at the forefront of my mind is people being a cultural force for good. So I looked at people who'd really stepped up and gone above and beyond and done good in many different areas. With Fauci, it was obvious he's a person of the year. It really, really was. And then digging in to different celebrities and different personalities and what they had done in different areas, it was a very, very natural choice. George Clooney, Regina King, and Selena Gomez had done such amazing work in different fields, and all fields that had really risen had risen this year, with George Clooney really supporting coronavirus relief and social injustice. Selena really speaking up for mental health, which is really at the forefront of our minds this year because all of our mental health is being tested. And Regina King doing amazing work whilst also being a fantastic voice for her community and encouraging others.
Looking back at 2020, you've had some issues. I mean, you had George Floyd on the cover, you had Black Lives Matter on the cover, you had, I mean, all of a sudden, it looks like American magazines in 2020 discovered a segment of the society that was not there. And we've seen more in the last count that I have, more than 319 magazine covers last year alone had Black subjects on the cover, which is almost like 5, 6, 7 times more than that we had in the last 100 years. How do you see the issue of diversity and inclusion manifesting itself in the mainstream magazines, specifically in People magazine?
I mean, I don't think it's quite the same situation for People magazine as it has been for the other magazines. I think I've done an early analysis of this, and we were in an okay position before Black Lives Matter, that we were telling stories way above the census specifics for Black subjects. But it's something we're working on every day and thinking a lot about racial equality and how we can do better at every level. As I said, I think we're very conscious. I've always been very conscious and striven to the idea of wanting to present the world through this brand with how we all want to live in it. But we're looking at how we make those decisions, bringing in more varied voices and trying to be more diverse in an organic way. I really believe that our culture and everyday lives are richer and more diverse if we include and celebrate more people from different walks of life. And that it's better journalism as well. It's more exciting stories. If a product is equitable and diverse and we have an inclusive workplace. At People, we sat down and we've listened to our Black colleagues and taken their advice and heard about their experiences at People. And those conversations have helped us tremendously in finding a path forward. And we've got an amazing institution at Meredith called Black Print, and they're a great resource for us. And I'm lucky that two of the leaders of that organization work at People, and that we can talk to them, and it's a safe space for us to learn together, make mistakes and learn, and try and improve this situation. There are challenges. I'm not sure at the newsstand whether we've earned our Black audience's loyalty, and that does create challenges. But these are things that you can do much easier in digital, but I'm trying in print. But it has been a really exciting time at the same time as being a challenging time.
And you mentioned print as one component now of the People brand. Where do you see print going as we move forward? I mean, you hear naysayers telling you like, oh, like print is dead or print is dying, or you can't have a weekly print publication anymore. Where do you see print, and especially that with a money maker like People magazine?
I mean, print is going to last forever. People magazine in print will be here in 20, 25 years. We're in an amazing position and powerful position. I think for print to thrive in 2020, you need to add depth and sophistication to a print product. You need to deliver what you can't get on the internet, which is expertise and authority, because print needs to provide something emotional and arresting, and something distinct that you can't get digitally, with deeper exclusive stories. In an age where everyone can know a little bit about something from the internet, I think you've got a brand has to stand out and provide deep, credible knowledge on what it covers. And that's what I really focus on at People. Younger readers want that, older readers want that. They want stories that are emotional and evocative. I think storytelling is key to print surviving. I think in a difficult world, and this year has been very difficult with confusion and chaos, I think there's something satisfying and comforting in a story. I think a story provides a moment of escape from the pressures of the real life. So even if it's a crime story like we have in People magazine, our audience immerses themselves in that story, in the plots and the characters. And if order's restored at the end, it gives you a sense of justice. Because I think fundamentally, humans crave storytelling. And then also for print to survive, you need to really focus on your consumer. Look at what your consumer is, whether it's America's biggest magazine brand like mine or a niche brand. Who is your consumer? Why are they here? Why are you doing what you're doing? And question that every day, question it and think about that, and teach your staff different mission statements and mantras that really are relevant on what we're looking for.
So if we look at those 20 months since you took the helm of People, and if we put aside the pandemic, I don't know how we can do that, but
nearly a year before, yeah.
What was the biggest challenge that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
There were many challenges. Fortunately for me, I inherited a brand that didn't need ripping up and starting again. People really does work. There are many, many different challenges. For me, I think one of the challenges of the brand is competing with celebrities, social media. They like to tell their own stories. I think what they've realized and some of the mistakes they've made, that People really is an authoritative storyteller. We're the best in the world at what we do. And so continuing that momentum has just been a challenge. Obviously, reducing decline in newsstand, our newsstand, our market share is increasing, but it's always something that I'm trying to do. Obviously, leveraging the brand to reach other audiences on different platforms has been a huge drive of mine and of most magazine brands. This year we have launched a television show, and so making sure that that show reflects the brand in the right way, and which it does. We've got an amazing lead of that show, Rob Silverstein, who has worked on Access Hollywood for years, and him and his team have really captured the spirit of the brand, but making sure that all of the different elements and brand extensions that we do reflect the brand. I may not be here in 20 years running People, but I want People to be in the same, in America's hearts in the same way, and making sure that it's being interpreted on those platforms is a big challenge, and making sure that's done in the right way is something that I really, really talk about a lot and think about a lot. And is certainly a big challenge, but really I see challenges as opportunities.
You know, Meredith has not been shy of launching new things during the pandemic, whether it's in print or the People TV or the, why do you think, I mean, is there like a secret sauce that you at People and the folks at Meredith have that others don't, that you are launching a lot of new stuff during the pandemic?
I think we are very close to the consumer and understanding what the consumer wants. We have an amazing data department, and we have that data, and we also have editors who have huge empathy for the audience and a huge connection to the audience, and an amazing staff and a spirit and a company culture that wants to come up with ideas and create new products, which is exciting, and to tell stories. That's what we're here to do as journalists, and to tell them in the best way possible.
You keep on bringing back journalism. You keep on saying, like, you know, we're journalists, we're doing this journalism. Yet a lot of folks will tell you that today journalism is dead. I mean, it's like, what differentiates print journalism from what people see on TV and newspapers? What differentiates magazine journalism?
I mean, I think magazine journalism is about the consumer and working out what they want, and starting with a mission statement and building a magazine around that mission statement so you can achieve your goal. And as I was saying, I think it's about deeper stories, a deeper connection, an emotional connection to the reader, and that you're delivering an experience that you can't get anywhere else.
And is there, like, in the last 20 months, is there somebody just like say, like, okay, give me the cover that you said, like, wow, I mean, this is my favorite cover in my tenure so far at People? Will there be such a cover, or you're going to tell me you don't differentiate among your children?
I mean, I do. There's different things. A big element for me is People being a force for good. And so during this time, I haven't shied away from subjects that are difficult for a mass market magazine. I did the first ever Pride issue for during lockdown, which was celebrating LGBT subjects, and we had Anderson Cooper on the cover with his baby. For me, the idea of diversity and inclusion, growing up, if I'd have seen a gay man on the cover of a magazine, a big magazine with a child, it would have made my path to happiness very much quicker. Also during this time, with our, we did our first ever climate change issue with Julia Louis-Dreyfus on the cover. To me, that it was an exciting thing, because it's a force for good. We're doing good with our storytelling, and that is something that we like to think of ourselves as a cultural force for good. So thinking about that has been a favorite moment for me. There's also been big commercial, there's been big successes with new stars that have come that have come to the fray and that have been interesting. I think when you're at home during the pandemic, you're looking around your home and thinking, oh my God, these four walls are driving me crazy. What can I do? And so some of the stars that are related to like making your home improvements have done really well on the cover. And that's been an interesting discovery this year.
Any cover you regret putting on?
No, I couldn't. There's been covers that haven't performed as well, and I probably should have listened to my gut a little bit more, but again, they did good and they were great stories. Perhaps I shouldn't have put them on the cover, but I certainly don't regret telling those stories.
So before I ask you my typical last questions, is there anything else I failed to ask you about people, the brand, you, the magazine, and that you would like to?
I mean, there are a lot. We could talk for hours about the magazine, but I've been really proud about like every single platform towards the people has been thriving this year. I mean, our like direct like subscriptions are up incredibly, 20% in 2019. The rates of response for subscriptions. So it shows the quality of the magazine and what we're delivering our reader, what we need. Our digital numbers have been through the roof. I think visits are up 24% year on year. Our video views have increased as well. The TV show is the most popular new syndicated show. It's on fire. Like you hear the statistics that more people like tune in and can't turn it off. And so I've just been really proud of how the whole of the People organization has been thriving together. There's no areas that have been weak. So I've been particularly proud of that. I mean, we've got 5 new independent TV shows in production. I've got 16 in development. There are so many different areas that we can expand into people. I'm looking forward to next year looking at consumer products that people could link into for the world. There are so many different elements. The power of people is just so fantastic that it's such an exciting job to have. And we really do have the best in the business with Zoe Ruderman and Will running our digital operations, and they're just really are the best in the business. We've got a new video slate helmed by David Blumenbaum, and a new podcast launching next year, People Every Day, which has our music editor, Janine Rubenstein, who is such a charismatic personality and an amazing journalist across so many different fields. She's going to be hosting. So there's so many new things that are going on at People, and I'm just like, it's a privilege to launch, to helm this brand and help extend the different areas. We have a new TV show launching in January on the Game Show Network called People Puzzler, which is so exciting. So there's journalistic things, there's fun things. So it really has been an amazing year, even though it's been a difficult year.
With all these things taking place, what do Dan Wakeford, the editor-in-chief of People, do at the end of the day to rewind from a busy, busy day, doing video, social media, print magazine, you name it?
Well, I do what everybody else does. This is the year that television has brought us together. I am particularly enjoying HBO Max at the moment. The shows Industry, The Flight Attendant, and just finished Coming Undone. That has been amazing and such a big part of people's DNA. So it's kind of working, but not. Also, I've got 2 cats and a new puppy that keeps me busy at night. And I have no time in the day to look after the puppy. So I have to remind him I'm his parent too in the evenings. So there's been a lot of joyful moments this year.
And what makes Dan tick and click?
I mean, storytelling does, to be honest with you, and what connects celebrity and to the consumer. I'm a very consumer-driven editor. I like to think about what the consumer is getting out of a story, what is relatable here. And so creating a brand with those connections is something that I really, really love.
And my typical last question is, what keeps you up at night these days?
I think it's always being a good leader at People. It's a big job with a lot of responsibility and a lot of staff. And I think that always that's always in the back of my mind. That and how many things I haven't done on my to-do list.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate you taking the time. That was very lovely to catch up back with you after those years, and wish you all the best. And here's to a great 2021.
Thank you, Samir. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.